Hi, folks. Mark Stabini here. Welcome to LinkedIn Live. And this is an all-important topic. I can't believe I haven't spoken about this earlier, and we'll continue to speak about this throughout the year because it's something that challenges all of us individually and as teams and organizations. And that is the all-important topic of feedback and how to give it effectively, how to receive it effectively, so the flow of feedback creates that accountability culture that's so important for us to perform and for companies to grow. I'm going to jump right into it and give you a little taste of a workshop that I do on giving and receiving feedback. So effectively, this is just a summary, a review with a couple of important takeaways that you can immediately apply in your workplace. Let's dive in. So let's really just make sure we understand what it is, where it comes from, and how to give it effectively. So if we look at the Oxford Dictionary definition, it says, and this relates to the workplace, information about reactions to a product, a person's performance of a task, etc., which is used as a basis for improvement, right? Simple definition of feedback. The key word here is information. And if we understand that it's information, we can start to see feedback as neutral. So always come from neutral rather than viewing feedback as good or bad or even negative or positive. It is information that can help us especially improve. It's everywhere. Verbal, non-verbal, someone rolling their eyes at you. That's feedback. Top down and bottom up in organizations, it's important that we understand the flow and we maintain the flow coming from leadership level and coming from the ground floor as well. We need to maintain that flow. It's important right across the board, up and down, within teams, across departments, across teams as well. It's coming from all angles. And not just, yes, we're talking about the workplace here on LinkedIn Live, but it's also important that we understand how to give and receive feedback in our personal relationships, in our home life. Why are we here? Why are we talking about this? It's all good for me to say it's important, but let's understand just how important feedback is. Our day-to-day in the workplace, we're always figuring out systems and processes to be more efficient with our work. So feedback's crucial to make sure that we are being efficient for product and service development as per the Oxford Dictionary definition, right? We're here to improve what we're here to provide. Personal development as well. We get to grow. We get to be better every day, and feedback from other people is vital for that to happen. It's important for teamwork and culture within organizations. We want to create that culture of accountability, clarity of role. How many of us don't actually know exactly what our roles and responsibilities are? Feedback, we get to ask for that feedback, and also knowing that people need that feedback so they can do their work effectively. I already mentioned accountability. Creating a culture of accountability sounds nice. It's important. It's difficult to do. Very difficult to do, and it starts with each individual. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. Speaking of the individual, motivating, engaging, being motivated, being engaged in our work. If we're not receiving feedback to know how we're doing, both acknowledgement and information that helps us know we're doing a good job and doing an effective job versus how can we improve, how can we be motivated and engaged? In other words, feedback equals results. If we're coming from an organizational standpoint, that's what we're here to do as a company, right? As an organization, as a team. Without feedback, how can we increase our revenue? How can we keep people in the company, retain our best employees and leaders? And how can we grow? If we're not getting the results, the bottom line doesn't improve, we don't have a company or a business anymore. And feedback is at the epicenter of that. So feedback's important. Let's crack on with how to give effective feedback. It helps to understand why we struggle to give effective feedback. What are some of the challenges that we encounter that holds us back from giving effective feedback? We don't want to hurt people's feelings. Most of us hate hurting other people's feelings. So it makes it really challenging to give feedback perhaps the other person might not want to hear. And managing our own emotions, especially when you need to give feedback on the fly. Maybe someone's rubbed you the wrong way. Someone's behavior is totally inappropriate and you need to let them know or need to stop them right now. We get to manage our own emotions, our own anger, our own frustrations, perhaps with that other person before delivering the feedback neutrally and effectively so that it lands for them. And what about matching our feedback with the style, the personality of the other person? Everybody has a preferred way to receive feedback according to our personality styles. So understanding how and where to meet people where they're at is also important to making the feedback land for them. Finding the right time. Timing is important. How many of us often say that, I wanted to give them the feedback, I just couldn't find the time, or there wasn't the right time to do it. Yes, that's important. And we sometimes use it as a crutch or an excuse as well. The number one enemy of giving and receiving, for that matter, which we'll cover in a second, feedback effectively, what do you think it is? It's us. We get in our own way. Our ego. Our ego is not our amigo, especially in these scenarios, folks. And once you understand your relationship with your own ego, we can push through it and get out of our own way to make sure that we're giving feedback effectively and remembering that feedback is a gift. Remind yourself, if you're someone who struggles to give feedback that's going to improve somebody's performance or behavior, remember, you're giving them a gift. See it through that perspective. Here's some other tips. Regulate your emotions. I mentioned that, right? Make sure that if you're angry, if you're nervous, if you're anxious, bring yourself to a calm, neutral level. You're about to deliver a gift. That'll be the best way to give it effectively, and maybe not have the other person take it personally or get defensive. And avoid making it about you. That's the ego piece, right? If we struggle or we start to bumble our words and we try to put it gently so the other person doesn't have their feelings hurt, or we even avoid giving the feedback altogether because we're worried about how the other person's going to react, you might think you're worried about them, but you're more worried about yourself. So once again, who are you to withhold the gift of feedback from someone? You're making it about yourself, and you're worried about yourself more than you're worried about making them better. This is a common technique as well, asking for permission to give feedback, especially if it's on the fly. If it's not in a formal capacity like a performance review, but you just want to tell someone right then and there that you notice their behavior and here's a way that you might want to improve it, or their performance. Here's a way that you can improve it. Give them a tip. Ask permission first. Hey, Tom, are you open to me just giving you a little tip right now, or a little pointer on what you're doing to make, your performance better? That helps the person, if they give permission, to know that feedback's coming, to brace themselves for it. And then once they give permission, well, they need to be open, and they'll be less likely to be defensive. And it's respectful as well. And make it a neutral discussion. Key word here is discussion. Rather than just blurting out feedback, look, here's what's going to make it better. Here's what's going to make you better. Here's how you can avoid dropping the ball. Here's how you can do this better next time. Make it a discussion between the two of you. Hey, how can we change the behavior? Or how can we improve performance next time? You made a mistake. Maybe what did I do that didn't set you up for a win? Let's talk about this as the two of us making it better, as opposed to here's what you need to do. We can use the SBI method. Here's a great takeaway and tool for you to use, or a structure that can give you the confidence to deliver feedback effectively. Here's what it means. It stands for situation, behavior, impact. So the situation part of SBI is merely the event. So here's how you might use the SBI method. Hey, Tom, are you open to doing a little SBI with me? Just want to give you some feedback. Okay, they know that feedback's on the way. So, Tom, the situation was the 10 a.m. startup meeting we had the other day on Zoom on Tuesday, if you remember that. That's the situation. Now, the behavior in question that I want to talk to you about is you arrived at 10:07. That's 7 minutes late for our stand-up. That's only a 20-minute meeting and a very important meeting during the week. And not only did you turn up late, you didn't even acknowledge your lateness, and you just carried on as if nothing happened and nothing was wrong, as if you weren't even late. Now, Tom, the impact of that was people were annoyed. We had to run a few minutes over, and that made people late for their next meetings. I could visibly see the frustration of your colleagues. I even got word that they were side messaging each other of how frustrated they were that you turned up late and that it's going to make us late for our next meetings and getting on with the rest of our day. And that is affecting your relationship with your colleagues and the trust they have in you, Tom. That's the impact. So remember, with SBI, the impact is the most important thing to deliver, because that will help the other person realize what their behavior, the knock-on effect that their behavior is having, and will make sure that they're more likely to be motivated to change that behavior next time. And know your audience. Okay, we talked about the personality styles. It is really helpful to get to know the different character types and personality styles. And there's a number of different methods that you do. I do an entire workshop on behavioral styles and how to understand where people are at, the best way to deliver feedback to them. Some people, they like their feedback short, sharp, and concise and direct. We know those people, right? It's like, look, stop with the fluff, stop with the compliments. Tell me what I need to do better. Tell me what I need to know so I can get on with it. I prefer that. Whereas there's others that they might like it broken a little bit more gently to them, right? Talk about in equal parts what they're doing well and what you acknowledge about their performance, as well as what they need to improve. So as long as it's direct, we don't need to bumble our way through it or add fluff so they come away from the discussion not really knowing what they need to improve, but meet people where they're at. Now, that covers the delivering feedback effectively. It's just as important that we learn how to receive feedback. We can start by changing the language around the words feedback. How often do we use the words negative feedback? So that can help us receive feedback better if it's presented differently. Rather than I have some negative feedback for you, I have some forwarding feedback for you. Forwarding, that means you're bringing them forward. You're bringing them perhaps out of the darkness into the light. I'm bringing you forward with this information to make you better. It's nothing to shy away from. It's nothing to be shamed about. It's forwarding feedback. We're here to make each other better. Or how many people often say, wow, he called so-and-so out, or I need to call you out for that. Rather than calling out, how about I need to call you forth. I'm wanting to elevate you. I am calling you forth and upwards into the light. So receiving feedback, some tips. Start with a growth mindset. This is something you get to practice. Growth mindset doesn't happen overnight, but it basically means you are committed to learning. You are committed to growth. You want to get better. So you're more likely to be open to receiving feedback that helps you get better. You're not going to be as defensive when you say, this is helping me. I want to be better. And it's neutral. It's information. I started with that. Okay. So you've got to remind yourself that when forwarding feedback, you might view it as negative. No, it's not about you. It's not personal. Don't take it personally. It's information that you can use. Open body. It's hard. Remember, it's difficult for people to give feedback, especially if it's what you might not want to hear. So standing there with your arms folded as someone's trying to deliver feedback to you to make you better isn't very welcoming. So invite the feedback in by having an open body. Okay. And that standing could be shoulders up, chest forward, arms back, you're receiving it, you're open to receiving it, you're welcoming it, as opposed to closing your body off. Ask for clarifying questions if you're not sure. Remember, it's difficult for people to deliver feedback, so have empathy for that. But also, you get to be clear on it. Don't go away from the discussion not actually sure what that feedback was or how to use it. So don't be shy to be clear. And here's something that I always like to tell people to start with. When anybody gives you feedback, get in the habit of saying thank you. The very first thing you do, even if your ego and you've taken it personally, you didn't like hearing it, and it feels terrible. Thank you. Push through that and say thank you, because remember, they've given you a gift. It might not feel like it at the time, but it is feedback. It's not easy for people to deliver it to you. So say thank you for it. They care about you. And they care about you getting better. It is a gift. Keep reminding yourself, thank you for the gift you just gave me. And take your time to process it and see how it can be useful information for you. So wrapping up, folks, it's essential for a healthy culture, right? So be committed to always improving how we deliver and receive feedback. And the culture will benefit from it. It's neutral information at all times. Feedback is not to be taken personally. It's information to be used to improve. When receiving feedback, to be able to do it, take it on board, use it, create safety for people around you to know it's okay to give you feedback, and you're not going to flip out or take it personally. You want to improve. You want to get better. Actually invite feedback. And you might start doing that with your growth mindset. You might start asking people for feedback and not just waiting for them to give it to you. Feedback is a gift. Feedback is a gift. Feedback is a gift. Remember that when you're delivering it, don't hold it back. Don't hold the gift for yourself. When have you bought a Christmas present for someone and actually decided, you know what, I might keep this for myself. I'm not going to give it to that person. You love the joy that it brings someone else to give them that gift and they can unwrap it. Sounds weird, but treat feedback the same way. Don't be selfish and hold it to yourself. Deliver that gift to the person that needs it more. And make it a discussion, the SBI method: situation, behavior, impact. It's a great structure to use. You can even take it up with your team, learn it together, and use it in your language. Hey, let's do a little SBI. Do you mind if I just take you through an SBI together? Something's on my mind. Situation, behavior, impact. And remember, your ego tends to get in the way. So don't make it about yourself, right? Even with receiving feedback, if you take it personally, you're also making it about yourself, right? And if you're not thanking the other person that gave it to you, you're not making it about them. You're making it about yourself. So don't withhold feedback. You might want to be nervous. You might struggle to do it. Once you start doing that and not delivering the feedback clearly, you're worried about how you look and that they might not like you. So you're making it about yourself. Always make it about the other person and deliver that value that they need. Thank you again. I've seen you popping in and popping out. A really important discussion. We're going to talk more about that. There's more things we can break down around giving and receiving feedback. If you enjoyed that today and you got some little tidbits and you want more for your team as well, I do a workshop all about giving and receiving feedback, among other workshops. So go check them out. Check out the library, scan that QR code, go to winningeq.com. You'll see a library of workshops all around leadership and organizational culture. Have a great rest of the week and weekend. I'll see you next week.